welcome everyone to a brand new video in the Coffee with Mahin channel. I think that's what it's called now. I have zero clue. But essentially today we're making a video all about auto layout. So by the end of this video you should know the basics of auto layout and you should be able to be comfortable with it so that you can experiment and then hopefully be comfortable enough to dive deeper into more complicated videos, fully mastering auto layout in the future. So this is just kind of like an introduction to it, purely so people actually get comfortable with the idea of auto layout. It's actually not as complicated as people think it is. So let's go to my Figma file here, and as you can see there's a little square emoji thing that I made. Let's call him Tim. We're going to use Tim to show how to utilize auto layout. So let's copy and paste Tim and get him a friend. So let's just quickly change color. Okay, this is Tim's friend. We're going to highlight both of them and then go to layout right here and then click this button. And the shortcut for this is Shift+A. If you click this, as you can see, it creates a frame around Tim and his friend. So this frame essentially has auto layout within it. So let me show you what this auto layout actually does. If I get Tim another friend, I can actually put him within the frame, and then it perfectly puts it in between the other two emojis, and then I can actually order them however I want. So this is how you would auto layout horizontally. Now if we were to auto layout vertically, what we would do is, okay, let's get Tim here, let's get Tim's friend again, let's put them underneath, and then we're going to highlight, and then we're going to layout. And so now what happens is that, let's just say we get another friend of Tim's, get a new color, we can now put him underneath. Now there is actually a much simpler way to do this. You don't always have to do like two boxes side by side or below and then highlight. What you can do is auto layout whichever direction you'd like, and then you click on the frame, the auto layout frame, and then you can see here there's an arrow. This is the essentially the direction the auto layout is going in. So right now all of them are stacked below each other. So if you want them to be stacked besides each other, like this one, all you have to do is click this arrow. So as you can see, this changes the direction of the auto layout. So this is just the basic, super basic way of auto layouting. Now I'll show you how to apply this in a bigger context, in a more practical context. So let's just do this. So we have a desktop here, a desktop frame. Actually, let's make a new one. So let's go desktop here. Let me just align it for the sake of the example. So okay, we have the desktop frame here. If we click layout here, what this does, it sets auto layout onto the entire frame. So let's just say we get a bigger version of Tim and we put him inside the desktop. As you can see, the desktop, for some reason, the frame is hugging the hugging Tim, right? The item inside the frame. Now this happens because, as you can see here, it says hug. So if we just Control Z, whenever you do lay out a frame, you make sure that this hug is turned into fixed. So this means that the width and the height of the frame is fixed regardless of the item that goes inside it. So now if we put Tim inside, you see that the frame is not hugging Tim anymore. But if you do want it to hug, you can always go here. So now you must be wondering, or maybe not, why is Tim aligned to the top left? Now, this is because when you first auto layout, by default, it actually appears, it aligns top left. you can easily change this by clicking any of these points within the grid. So this is top center, top right, center of the frame, bottom, left, right. So essentially, you can just play around with this however you like. So what this does, this is the gap between objects, right? So let's just make this frame bigger and let's get Tim a friend. So let's Control C, Control V. We're going to make this a different color. So now the gap between this and this can be changed with this setting right here. So it's at 10 right now. If we make this bigger, you can see that the gap is becoming bigger between Tim and his friend. So if we Control C, Control V again, let's make this another color. This actually applies to every single item within the frame, within the auto layout frame. And so if you ever want to control the padding, you can just type a custom number or leave it at auto. Another thing here is the horizontal padding. So this actually makes sure that whatever items that you put inside the frame do not exceed the padding from left or right. So there's even amount of space. So this actually is very useful for consistency purposes. So let's just say we put it at 114, so it lines up. So then we have the vertical padding, which you can probably guess is top and bottom padding. Now that we've explained what all the buttons in auto layout do, let's actually put this into an actual realistic example in terms of making a website. So here you can see I've made like a frame with 3 Tims inside. So imagine this is an actual, like a banner image of a website, like a header. So let's first make the auto layout of the desktop frame. Then let's put in this header inside. Oh, we forgot to remove the hug, turn it into fixed, then put this inside. Then what we are going to do is we're going to align it into the center, top center. And then we're going to add a bit of padding on the top, because of course, like in a normal website, the banner image is not going to be all the way at the top. Sometimes it is, which in that case you're going to have 0 padding, but there are also instances where there's a bit of padding on top, right? So for our example, let's just say there's padding. So we have our banner image. Now let's try putting some items inside. So let's imagine this is an image, right? So this is an image of Tim, and these are 2 blocks of paragraphs. What we can do is, like before that I showed with the example, we can get these 2 guys and then we can highlight and then auto layout. So what this does is now these 2 are stuck together. Then we can get these 2, highlight these 2. So this is now 1 item, by the way, because it's under 1 frame. So we are highlighting now 2 different frames. Then we auto layout again, and now suddenly these guys are 1 big frame. So for an example, let me quickly get Tim. Within this auto layout, if I put Tim here, he can only go in the middle, right? He can't go below, because the way we've auto layouted, we auto layouted horizontally, as you can see by this arrow. If we did vertical, it'll go below. So now this is an image, and then imagine these 2 are a paragraph. We now can put this underneath the banner image, and now you have a banner, an image, and 2 paragraphs, right? And then as you can see here, the gap between these 2 are not a lot. All you have to do is now go here and then increase the padding. Now this is useful because if you have like a lot of items, right, if you just use this, you know that the gap is consistent among all of the different frames within your page, for example, right? So now, if we just copy and paste this, let's just say a different layout would be the image on the other side and then the paragraph. We can put this underneath, and there you go. So you have header, image here, paragraph here, paragraph here. So this is the basic concept of auto layout. Is we started off with just a singular item, but you can actually auto layout a bunch of different frames. So now I'm going to show you an actual real website that I made, which is my portfolio website. So this entire page uses auto layout for everything. So I'll show you a specific example here. So as you can see here, we have a heading, project timeline and approach, and then we have a paragraph explaining the heading, essentially. These two are actually two different frames under one frame due to auto layout. So these two are the same exact thing as these two, right? This is the heading and this is the paragraph. These are right next to each other. So these two items are together. And so what we've done here is that now that this is one auto layout, I've put this underneath this item, so it's stacked below, right? So this is the same concept as here. So if we get, for example, this one, right? This is the heading, this is the paragraph. You can now put this below. So now it's below. So this is exactly the same principle here. A more complicated example would be here. This is a frame, just a regular round frame. So like, let me show you real quick. It's essentially with a bit of radius, and then there you go. This is that, essentially, exactly the same. What I've done here is that I have three items: the logo, the question, and the paragraph. These three have been auto layouted. You see these lines? These lines are the exact same paddings that you have here. These lines, exactly the same, right? So what I've essentially done is 1, 2, and 3. These three now all go inside this frame, and then it becomes this one component. And essentially, this is how websites essentially work. You just have a lot of micro auto layouts within frames, and then you just stack them together, and then keep the gaps, the padding consistent throughout the entire website. So I'll show you one more example here. As you can see, same thing, heading, paragraph, right? But this one's slightly different because we have three components here. So within these three boxes have been auto layouted to be together. So now this is one big frame, right? You can see the highlight. This is one big frame that consists of three auto layouts. Now this has been auto layouted with this paragraph. So now is one bigger auto layout frame consisting of this, and then a bigger frame of this, and this. And then this has been grouped with this, so auto layouted with that. So if I were to show this example here, let's see. So you have 1, 2, and 3. I'll just do an example like here. So you have 1, 2, and 3. If you highlight all of them and then you auto layout, now you can see that they have all been grouped into one. Now if we let's just say, let me just type the exact same thing here. Let me copy this text and then paste it here. Let's make this a bit bigger. Okay, 36. There you go. Okay, this might be a bit too big. Okay, let's do this. And then for the title, let's do that. Okay, so this is essentially, this is functionally the same thing as here. So what we're going to do is this frame, you highlight, then you highlight this, and then you click auto layout. Now this becomes one big frame. Then you click this, and then you click this, and then you auto layout again. Now this is one bigger frame as well. Now you can just adjust the padding, and then there you go. This is essentially one-to-one of this, but obviously here I've designed it more. So essentially this is the basics of auto layout. If you can grasp this concept, then you can essentially do whatever you like with auto layout. So if you guys have any questions, please do write down in the comments, and I'll try to answer them or make a following video answering all of your questions. And yeah, I'll see you guys in, I don't know when I make a next video, but see you then.